Flavio Bolsonaro, from what it seems, got what he wanted, didn't he? As a traitor to the country, here comes a new Bolsa tax. Yeah, the Trump administration, after announcing that Comando Vermelho and PCC are terrorists, and I've already told you that they really need to be destroyed. PCC, Comando Vermelho, they have to be destroyed, right? And we know that this won't solve anything, and that actually this is really more of a geopolitical move by Donald Trump, trying to intimidate, coerce, interfere in our economy to take advantage of Brazil. Now he announces a huge new tariff against Brazil with rates of up to 25%. This situation has been triggered and threats to PIX. Our PIX belongs to Brazil. You can say that is under threat from Donald Trump. Donald Trump is creating an environment, creating situations so that Brazil backs down regarding PIX, and we are not going to back down. And he is putting pressure because this causes losses for the American card companies here in Brazil. Because when you use PIX, you stop making transactions via docs, via text, TED, right? And via card. And this causes losses for the American card companies. And he wants us to end PIX. And with that comes a new big fee hike. Who will be harmed? Harmed mainly, all of us Brazilians will be harmed, obviously. But obviously, especially the Brazilian elite, right? Those who export, those who import, everyone will be harmed, especially because of this action by Donald Trump. And here comes another tax, the Bolsonaro tax, right? And so you say, Andrea Gonçalves, but is Flavio behind this? I ask you, what do you think? Because for Flavio, the worse, the better. Because he thinks that with this, he will be attacking Lula. He thinks that with this, he will harm Lula. But in reality, he is harming the Brazilian people, the Brazilian economy, and he is even affecting the elite and the market that supported him until just the other day. Because since yesterday, I even mentioned this in yesterday's live, the market has abandoned Flavio Bolsonaro. Folha de São Paulo and Estadão are criticizing Flavio Bolsonaro harshly. Thank you. Because they realized that Flavio was never right-wing. Thank you. Flavio is an extremist and, worst of all, by all indications, a criminal with deep connections to criminal organizations. And in this context, especially when it brings losses to those who fund them, which are the elite, the barons, and the market, they are backing down. And all this agenda against Brazil has a clear and specific target. It's not against Lula. What harms the people, including the Brazilian elites, is against the whole nation. Shall we see, Tico? Look here, see? Bolsonaro tax. After a new scheme by the Bolsonaro family, the United States attacks PIX and proposes a 25% tariff on Brazilian products. Now what? Will agribusiness have the slightest bit of sense to demand a stance from Bolsonaro supporters? Will agribusiness, which will be one of the sectors affected by this, among others, will they have at least a little bit of shame and speak out? And will they stop supporting Flavio, or will the foolish agribusiness sector keep licking Flavio Bolsonaro's boots? Oh, be careful what you wish for, because what you wish for might turn against you. Right, agribusiness? And what do I think? I think it's not enough. Some people only learn through pain. Who knows, maybe the agribusiness, right? Learn something from this. Meanwhile, the loss is going to hit hard, especially for you all. No. Don't worry. Lula is there to try to solve it. Lula is there to try to fix things, to clean up the messes the Bolsonaro family makes, just like he largely solved the tariff issue back then, when he resolved the matter, the one about the application of the Magnistique law. But now there's a different factor. That complicates everything. And that's at stake. And what is it, Andrea Gonçalves? The elections. The elections are coming up. It's very unlikely Donald Trump will back down now. Why? Because he thinks the same way as the Bolsonaristas. He thinks that with these actions, he will be attacking Lula and weakening Lula so that Lula is not reelected. And that way, Flavio can, who knows, get elected. The problem is that they don't work with the necessary cognition. The people aren't stupid. People know that the one who orchestrated this whole situation was Flavio Bolsonaro. Because if Flavio Bolsonaro, pay attention to this. If Flavio Bolsonaro did it and kept quiet, it might even seem like the problem is a lack of competence and management from Lula. But since Flavio Bolsonaro needs to create a smokescreen to try to cover up the scandal about the movie, in a moment, I'll show you an expense of over 250 million for the movie. Since he needs to cover up the whole scandal of being linked to Daniel Borcaro and the whole scandal of being linked to the Comando Vermelho with his allies who are in prison for involvement with the Comando Vermelho in Rio de Janeiro, he needs to stand up and show all of this as if he were the guy. Then he undoes the whole plan, which is to say that it's Lula's fault. And people end up seeing it that the person responsible for this has a name. No biography is available. They appear to have a criminal record. It's Flavio Bolsonaro. Did you understand, my dear? And it turns out that the intended effect was to target Lula. The shot backfires. And who does it hit exactly? Flavio Bolsonaro, because he brings the spotlight to himself. As if that were possible. And it's not. Which shows it isn't. We're seeing this whole situation, especially based on the polls. And I believe Flavio Bolsonaro's decline will get even worse. Not just because of the involvement with Borcaro. He was asking Daniel Borcaro for 134 million there. But also this new situation of attacking our sovereignty. He is acting like a true traitor to the country, and it doesn't matter. The important thing is to raise the smokescreen to see if it covers up these scandals of corruption, of bribery, of money laundering, and of involvement with criminal organizations, but not really. He isn't managing to hide all of this. And why, Andrea Gonçalves, isn't he managing to do it? Because of social media. Guys. Do social media have a negative side? Yes, they do, just like everything in life. Everything in life has a positive side and a negative side. It's up to us to separate and say, look, I don't want this in my life. I don't want this. I want this. It's the same thing with social media. The crap that's on social media, we just let it go. We block it, we delete it. And what's good, we bring it to ourselves. We spread it, we like it, we comment on it, and we share it. And thanks to social media, notably, people are learning the truth. But now we're going to have even more help. I'm not going to lie. We're going to have even more help because the corporate media, which is funded and surrounded by the elite and the market, are starting to show all the dirt on Flavio Bolsonaro. Why, Andrea? Because Flavio Bolsonaro is causing harm even to the Brazilian elite with all of this. So it's going to be blow after blow on Flavio Bolsonaro and Eduardo Bolsonaro. And soon there should be another bomb dropped. Another scheme involving Flavio Bolsonaro should be released, which everyone knows is shady. Shall we take a look at some reactions about this? Lindenberg Farias, he just spoke about this situation here. This new development about the big fare increase and about the attack on PIX. Let's see, pay attention.
That Bolsonaro is desperate. I just filed a petition with the Supreme Court asking Flavio Dino to request the sharing of information about this Conhecer Brazil Institute from Product No.
It's not this one, no. This is something else that I'll explain in a moment. Andre, you're making mistakes. I make them too, and it's not just a few, you know. Don't worry, don't get nervous, don't get anxious. It's this one. Look, I'll talk about this other subject in a bit. Flavio Dino has been called. Look here, see?
Guys, this is huge. Trump is imposing a new big tariff on Brazil because of PIX. You see how Eduardo and Flavio Bolsonaro are traitors. A 25% tariff was imposed on Brazilian products because of PIX. Folha de São Paulo newspaper. Trump administration says that the central bank favors PIX in a discriminatory way against American companies. We're talking about credit cards, folks. Their credit cards. Look, here is the article. The Donald Trump administration accused the Central Bank of Brazil of unfairly and discriminatorily favoring PIX over other payment methods, referring to American credit card companies. Go on. The acts, this is the text. The acts, policies, and practices of Brazil related to the preferential treatment given to PIX are unfair and discriminatory. It is unfair to require competitors to grant PIX advantages, such as availability, visibility, and fee limits. And Brazil discriminates against North American providers. It's the credit cards. By granting these advantages exclusively to its national system. Respect us. PIX is Brazilian. It's a Brazilian achievement. Brazil belongs to Brazilians. We will continue with PIX. This is a decision by President Lula's government. Now look at this, folks. The role of this Flávio Bolsonaro. This is based on Resolution 301 and of Eduardo Bolsonaro. They are conspiring against Brazil again, against our country, against our people. We are not going to abandon PIX. This is a decision that Lula has already made. PIX belongs to Brazil.
That's right, my dear. Go ahead. PIX belongs to Brazil. Or do you want Lula to end PIX? Do you want that? Do you want to go back to Doc when you had to go somewhere to make a transfer, or to Ted when you had to pay? Every Doc, every Ted had a fee that you had to pay to the banks. Do you want to go back to that? Obviously not, guys. PIX is ours. In fact, Brazil is willing to share the technology with other countries. Countries are reaching out to Brazil to learn how PIX works, to adopt PIX, and Brazil shares it. Brazil explains. It explains how it works, what can be done and what can't. Brazil doesn't hide the technology. It doesn't want it just for itself. But the United States, since they're not the creator, want to take down PIX. Do you know what they would do if it weren't for Lula, right? Because Lula won't allow it. If it were another president like Bolsonaro, Bolsonaro would take down PIX. Then they would launch PIX over there in the United States. They would say it's theirs, and they would sell the technology to other countries, and Brazil would have to stay quiet. The thing is, Lula isn't some fake patriot. Lula is not an American lackey, and Lula is not going to accept that. Now, if it were Flavio Bolsonaro, for the Bolsonaro family, they would obey Donald Trump. That's the situation, and they would say, what can we do? We can't do anything. Why? They're a bunch of wimps, spineless cowards. They just let it slide. It's all just empty talk. And now the Bolsonaro tax is coming against Brazil. The elite will be the main ones affected in Brazil. Let's hear another statement from Congressman Zeka about this situation, which is really unfortunate, okay? Congratulations, Flavio. Congratulations. But you couldn't divert the spotlight from the mess, and you are muddied, no. In fact, we have something to show here today. Again,
here's another one from Flavio Bolsonaro. Brazilian agribusiness, Brazilian industry will have to pay more taxes. That's right, folks. The United States has just started another process to tax to impose a 25% surcharge on Brazilian products. This means fewer jobs in Brazil, more difficulty selling to the United States. So it's becoming clear, folks, what Flavio Bolsonaro went to do once again in the United States. He went there to act against Brazil. Flavio Bolsonaro should be arrested. He is committing the crime of treason. He acts against the interests of our country, just like the fugitive who's on the run, his brother, Eduardo Bolsonaro. Besides being involved with the dirty money from Banco Master, besides having this promiscuous relationship revealed by himself with Daniel Bocaro, Flavio Bolsonaro looks up to his brother Eduardo and starts working to sabotage Brazil to make the country stop growing. We will not allow this to happen. Brazilian diplomacy, President Lula will, once again, through dialogue, through a lot of firmness of purpose, through negotiation, protect and defend Brazil. Our country is a sovereign nation. It has no owner, no tutor. Brazil belongs to Brazilians.
Hey, Dirchus is correct. Put it there. PIX is ours. Don't leave me talking by myself. Don't leave me talking alone. PIX is ours. PIX belongs to Brazilians, and we will not back down. Now, if you're a Bolsonaro supporter and you agree with ending PIX, you're weak. You'll have to excuse me. And as for being a patriot, you're not one at all. So, taking advantage of the situation, write this down. Flavio Bolsonaro is a traitor to the country. He is committing a crime against our country, everyone. He handed over a series of documents to the United States, which even led to the opening of this investigation 301, which has now been closed, and they decided to tax Brazil and are threatening PIX. Meanwhile, how much? It's already gone to the movie of Bolsonaro. Well, shall we do the math? How many millions have already gone to Bolsonaro's movie? And we know very well that the suspicion is that the money didn't go to the movie. Why, Andrea? Because it's not a production that spent so many millions. Just regarding Daniel Bocaro, according to Flavio Bolsonaro and Eduardo Bolsonaro, 134 million reais were supposed to go to the movie. And the ones who said that were themselves. It was Flavio and it was Eduardo Bolsonaro. That the 134 million that were being demanded by Flavio Bolsonaro from Daniel Bocaro, 134 million was for the movie. Of that, 62 million were paid for the movie. Then we find out that budget earmarks went toward funding the movie. We find out, right, about a new investigation, including by the São Paulo Civil Police, of 108 million. And the suspicion is that this money may have gone to the movie. And money from parliamentary amendments. And there's also suspicion and investigation that the money went to the movie. So, totaling and doing the math, right? 108 million from the São Paulo City Hall, 2 million from Mario Frias, federal deputy and producer of the movie. 1 million from Carla Zambelli. While she was a deputy, she voted and allocated a 1 million amendment to Karina's NGO, who is the producer of the movie. 1 million from Marcos Polo, 200,000 from Gildiniz, 150,000 from Biakitzis, and the 134 million, all of that would already add up to 246 million reais. Not counting what will still be discovered, which was for the movie. So like this, how do you explain this, guys? For God's sake. Can someone explain this? So, the producer of the movie said that the movie cost 69 million reais. That's really expensive. That movie with scenes that look cartoonish, almost like a comedy, you know? That thing there isn't worth anywhere near 69 million reais. But anyway, the film's production company said the movie cost 69 million reais. And the rest? Where did it go? If it really costs that much, I believe it. So yesterday there was an operation by the São Paulo Civil Police in a scheme, according to the federal police, involving money laundering and the embezzlement of public funds. The suspicion is that the money went to the movie. Karina Gama, the producer of the movie, sole partner, owner of Go. And it's interesting, I didn't know that. Go Whoop, a production company for the movie, only got authorization from Unseen to produce films in June 2025. In other words, they were producing Bolsonaro's movie without even having authorization for it because they had never produced a movie before. It was a company created especially to produce Bolsonaro's movie. Karina was always like that, and so was Mario Frias, federal deputy, also the executive director of the movie. And Karina was the sole partner, the owner of the company. There was no one else. It seems to me that the company was set up just to make Bolsonaro's movie. And this Karina, from all indications, was used as a front. So yesterday, the civil police launched an operation against Karina and the department of the São Paulo City Hall, the scheme involving 108 million reais, where the suspicion is that part of the money was diverted to the film. She won the bidding process without any experience in the field, and then she hired an intermediary company to provide the service. In other words, she didn't have the technical capacity, nothing that would qualify her to do this. In other words, she shouldn't even have won the bidding process. Very possibly here we are also dealing with the crime of procurement fraud. Because she didn't have the technical capacity, she didn't have the background, she didn't have the know-how to provide Wi-Fi internet service at 5,000 locations throughout the city of São Paulo. She shouldn't even have won the bidding process. So we already have there very possibly an initial crime, which is fraud in the bidding process. But why this interest in putting Karina in as the winner and the one who received 108 million reais? That's what was in the contract initially. 3 more amendments were made with contributions of more than 49,000 reais. 49,000, that's nothing. When we talk about Bolsonaro's movie, it's only millions. More than 49 million reais extra. A total of almost 160 million reais came out of public funds and went to Karina's company, the owner and producer of Bolsonaro's film. And the suspicion is that there was fraud in the bidding process for her to get in and to obtain this money. And the suspicion is that the money went to the film. It's a complicated situation, isn't it? Is that much money really for the film? Very possibly Karina is a front. And to make things worse, it's being discovered that she also had a contract. Guess with whom? I've already explained it to you. Where are the centers of this Banco Master fraud? Federal District, with Ibanez Rocha, Claudio Castro, and São Paulo. Federal District. She also made a contract with the Federal District of Ibanez Rocha. Who, Andrea? This Karina. Soon, we'll find out that she also has a contract with the mayor, with the government of Rio de Janeiro. Just wait. Just wait, everyone. Soon, we'll find out that she also has a contract with the government of Rio de Janeiro, of Claudio Castro. And soon, we'll find out where the money went, Andrea. To the movie. We'll get into more detail on that later. We'll talk specifically about that. But it's such a horrible situation, guys. This movie, from what everything indicates, was used as a money laundering scheme. To launder dirty money. To launder public money for paying bribes. For embezzlement of money. Because this movie didn't even cost 69 million. And you're telling me that all that money went to the movie? It went to the movie for whom? And we already know that Daniel Vorcaro's money, for example, didn't go to Entre Entretenimentos, which was the company responsible for the financial part. It went to a company, a fund in Texas, where Eduardo Bolsonaro is living in a 6 million real mansion. It went to a company, to a fund, whose person in charge is Carlisto, who is a lawyer, guess for whom? For Eduardo Bolsonaro, over there in the United States. Then you might say to me, Andrea, but they said that from this fund, the money went to the movie. Where are the transfers? No one presented anything. Flavio Bolsonaro and Eduardo Bolsonaro said that the money from this fund went to the movie. Why didn't they present the document proving the transfers? Because we know that any bank transaction leaves a trail. There's a bank statement. There's proof. That's why many times the thief, the criminal, especially white-collar ones who deal with millions, work with cash. Why, Andrea? So they won't be detected by financial agencies, especially by COAF here in Brazil, which does this monitoring. Where are the transfer records? No one has shown that so far. Neither Flavio Bolsonaro nor Eduardo Bolsonaro. Why didn't they open their bank records? Why don't they show their bank statements? No, they don't answer anything. They only said what happened. They don't show any documents. And when they're questioned, it's Lula. It's Lula's son. I don't know what. The Volcar fraud is from the PT. The PT, what is it that you are doing? And just making things more complicated. Guys, 12 billion reais. It came from BRB, a public bank. And it went to Daniel Volcaro. 3 billion reais from Rio de Janeiro went to Daniel Volcaro. Everyone knew the bank was broke. This is a big payoff scheme. They sent public money to Daniel Volcaro, and Daniel Volcaro had to pay everyone's share, and they used this movie for that, to launder money and to pay bribes, and that's why Flavio and Eduardo Bolsonaro went to the United States, leaving behind a salary of almost 50,000 reais here as a federal deputy to live off and spend the millions of reais he received there in the United States. I'm telling you, more than 62 million his lawyer's account received from Daniel Volcaro. And Flavio was charging the rest to reach 134 million reais. What power did Flavio have to charge that from Daniel Volcaro?